Welcome to part 2 of the UltraStar video tutorial, which deals with the fine-tuning of UltraStar text files. Precondition is that you are holding a raw UltraStar or Vocalux text file, which usually has been generated by import of a MIDI file. The process of importing MIDIs is dealt with in the first part of this tutorial. You should have installed the UltraStar Challenge Duet and Medley edition, as this has the best text file editor for the time being. Furthermore, you already have collected the lyrics of the song and of course the matching MP3 file. Gap and BPM have been determined in the first part of this tutorial as well, with the UltraStar Song Creator. Prior to working on the text file, I'd like to mention that there are at least two ways to create UltraStar text files. One is to tap a song. Using UltraStar Song Creator, you hit the spacebar every time a syllable is sung, and by doing this, the appropriate lyrics text is inserted. Having done this, you have to adjust the pitch of every single syllable by comparing it, for example, with an imported MIDI file. Advantages: after some practice, pretty good timings and all of the lyrics already inserted. In this tutorial, I'll introduce you to the second option, editing the text file from MIDI import directly with adjustments of the timings. Let's start with some text file basics. Text files hold a variety of information. In the header, those of general type. Some are a hard requirement to get the text files running: title, artist, MP3, BPM, and gap. Below the beat number follows a colon. After a blank, the duration of the syllable. Another space character, pitch, which might be negative, and at least the lyrics of the syllable. All this could also be edited in a basic text editor, as that one of Windows XP, which you see right here. However, this would be quite uncomfortable. Instead of using such a text-based editor, we now call up the UltraStar Integrated Editor. You find it after selecting Sing, Player, any difficulty, navigating to the desired song and typing E. Two major sources exist to help operating the editor. In the program installation path of UltraStar, the PDF file Documentation, providing a variety of tips. In the CMD edition, there also is an online help, accessible via tabulator key, showing all of the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, let's get going and pick up the text file from the first part of the video tutorial, Uncle Cracker's Drift Away. Correction of BPM was an open item, and there is a BPM difference between MIDI and MP3 pretty often. It should be the first step to start with. Do not just override the BPM in a text editor. Beats per minute should be greater than 200 to allow fine adjustments of timings. Usually the UltraStar Song Creator takes care of this, and indeed it calculated a value of 201.84. We insert this number via the key F5. The first step with a new line of the song is to listen to the MIDI notes by pressing Shift-P. Well, that sounds like the initial vocals. But we have plenty of syllables, even more than one line of the song, and more than we would like to see at a time when playing in UltraStar later on. Therefore, we divide into two separate lines. Judging by the long break between the two notes, but also from what we have heard, we select this syllable as beginning of the second line. Press minus to cut into two lines. To return to the first line again, we navigate with up arrow. When pressing P alone, we can listen to the MP3 song plus a click tone whenever a syllable begins. By this mean, you can get a quick impression of the time. All clicks are a little bit late, so the gap, which is the time spent to the first syllable, needs to be reduced. When determined with the help of UltraStar Song Creator, the value usually is good. However, a small correction of 100 to 200 milliseconds might still be necessary. Gap is reduced by pushing 9 and increased with O, just right of it. We reduce until the first syllable is timed correctly. Correct, then check by listening, then correct again, and so on. Don't work on the following notes as long as the first one is not correct. Easy to recognize, there is no song text yet. We've been listening to the first line several times, so we definitely know the corresponding text. Text can be inserted by selecting F4, syllable to syllable. To navigate from one to another, do not press return, use the left and right arrow instead. When pressing return, the text entry modus is left. In order not to lose our entries, changes should be saved by pressing S every once a while. Not only the click sounds allow to test whether MP3 and syllables are synchronous. We can also play the syllables one by one. After a selection of a certain note, it can be played by pushing the space bar. By alternating between space bar and right arrow, you can hear one syllable after the other. With correct timings, all words should be understood. Now we deal with moving syllables around. The tab key calls up the online help again. I'm feeling uncomfortable with the segments after and more confused. The second syllable of after sounds no vocal when MP3 is played with spacebar. Let's move it one position to the left and listen again. Concerning more confused, all syllables seem to be late. To move all of them at the same time, select the first syllable, push Ctrl, Alt, Shift and arrow key at the same time. Just listening to the separate syllables with spacebar makes it hard to keep an overview over the timings. So always play MP3 including clicks from time to time. Focusing on confused, you can hear another problem. The original vocal has at least 4 syllables, con, few, who, whose, but the MIDI import just brought up 3. We can solve that by dividing the last long note into 2 pieces. Text has to be added for the new syllable. It has become a common habit to use a tilde, the wavy line, for sustained syllables. Now, playing the MP3 of the last syllable shows that there is no vocal. Obviously, both notes together are too long. This can be corrected by shortening the syllables. The borders of a syllable can be extended or cut with usage of Ctrl or Alt plus arrow. Easy to remember, as Ctrl is in the left corner of the keyboard and manipulates the left edge of a syllable. The choice of the arrow key decides whether a shortening or extension is made. Let's move ahead to line 2. Starting with a new line, begin with playing just the midi notes. This reassures that the notes match the next line to be sung. Not yet perfect, but should be good enough. As a second step, we insert the text. Hopefully, no syllable is missing this time. It happens quite often that the timing of the first syllable is not correct, while the intervals between the syllables of the line are good. We check that, as always, by playing the line, including clicks. This time, it's just the other way around. The timing of the first syllable is okay, but the remaining ones not. It is pretty demanding to check timings of multiple syllables, here 11, at the same time. An easier way is to reduce the number of syllables, for example to only 3. So we navigate to the 4th note and insert a line break with a minus key. Now play it again and move the syllables according to a corrected timing. Selecting Shift minus, we reconnect the line again to the following one. An option to division and rejoin is to interrupt the sound of MP3 plus click with the usage of the spacebar. Every time the spacebar is pressed, only a single syllable is played, and thus the replay of the whole line is interrupted. Here's a demonstration with the initial 3 syllables again. Some data can conveniently be edited with a simple text editor. 2 examples. Special characters like the apostrophe cannot be inserted with the UltraStar editor. Or another example, to search and replace multiple text errors. Upon MIDI import, sometimes a minus character is added prior each syllable. If you dislike this, you can delete all of them pretty fast. Let me summarize. This tutorial has the main emphasis to fine-tune text files from MIDI imports. Tapping of songs is an alternative. The process of text file editing consists of repeating steps. Some of the keyboard shortcuts should already be familiar to you. However, you can look them up anytime with the tabulator key. And I'd like to encourage you. After a short period of practicing, you will know most of them by heart. Enjoy creating songs for UltraStar. I would highly appreciate any positive comments, likes or +1s, which might motivate me to further video tutorials. Yours,